Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video, we'll be doing the full review of the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, and I've been testing this device for almost 2 weeks now. So I'll divide this review between pros and cons. There's a huge list of things that I have noticed, and there are some important questions that you have asked. I'll also try to address that in this video. I've already done the unboxing of this device, so if you want to know what comes inside the box in a general overview, check out the unboxing video. I'll leave the link for that in the YouTube description area. But before we proceed, here are the specs for the Galaxy S9 Plus. As you can see, it is powered by the Exynos 9810 octa-core processor, and it comes with 6 GB of RAM and 64 GB of internal storage. It has a 6.2-inch Super AMOLED screen and comes with a dual 12-megapixel camera with variable aperture, and other specs are on the screen for your reference. Now let's quickly dive between the pros and cons, what I like about this device and what are the things that I did not like about this device. So let's start with the pros. And the first thing that you'll notice is that from a distance, actually this looks very familiar to like the Galaxy S8. In fact, I would say from the front it exactly looks like that. Only when we move towards the back, and you'll notice that I'm using it with the case because still it's a glass back and I'm scared of that. And you get this case in the box. It's just a plastic TPU case. It looks flimsy, I would say, but it fits very well on the device, and I have been using it with that because this is a fingerprint magnet. And again, as we know, Samsung is the leaders in terms of screen technology, and that's the same even with this one. The Super AMOLED screen on this one is the best that you can get in the market. The colors look very good, natural, and even the viewing angles are good on this one. So in terms of screen quality, full marks to Samsung for the AMOLED screen that you are getting on this one. Now moving to the build quality, it's very similar to the Galaxy S8. Again, it's a sandwich, glass sandwich, that is glass on the back, glass on the front, and we also have that slightly curved edges on the screen. I'm not a big fan of that, but yeah, in terms of build quality, the build quality is very good. But again, as I've told you, use it with sort of a case because glass back, if you drop it, they have twice the chance of breaking, even though this one has Gorilla Glass. So you should be careful without that. And now moving to one thing that I was not happy with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. If you have seen my review, the weight balance of the Note 8 was not very good and it was top heavy. But I have to say, this S9 Plus, the weight balance is good. It does not feel top heavy, so it feels comfortable in the hand, though it is a big phone having a 6.2-inch screen. So no issues regarding that, and the weight balance has been done very well on this device. And finally, the fingerprint scanner location is now in a correct position, and even on this big S9 Plus, you can easily just reach it, as you can see. And the fingerprint scanner, as expected, is very responsive. Earlier, Samsung used to just give that iris scanner. We also have the iris scanner in this, but they have added a new thing that is known as intelligent scan. It uses iris as well as face unlocking, and it actually works far quicker than the iris scan. And I have enabled that. You can actually enable this functionality even if you're using the fingerprint scanner. So when you just, as you can see, it's on the standby right now. If I just press the power, and it unlocks. It uses the combination of iris and face unlocking. Let me again show you. And as you can see, it's very quick and it's a lot more secure than just face unlocking. And obviously, you also have the fingerprint scanner on the back that actually works very well. So in terms of unlocking, Samsung has provided us a lot of options and they work. Now moving to another improvement that Samsung has done compared to the Galaxy S8 Plus or even the Note 8 is that finally now it is having a dual speaker. This went as a speaker, and even the earpiece is actually a speaker. And yes, it's improved if we compare it with the Note 8 and the Galaxy S8 Plus, etc. It's slightly louder because of the stereo speaker. But again, if I compare it with other phones that are having a stereo speaker, for example, flagships like the iPhone 10 or even the Pixel 2 XL, I would say the stereo imaging that I was getting on the iPhone 10 and the Pixel 2 XL is slightly better on this from this one. Don't get me wrong, the speakers are not bad. It's actually the best speakers that I have seen on a Samsung device. But again, if we compare it with the iPhone 10 or the Pixel 2 XL, those stereo speakers give slightly fuller sound compared to this one. Now moving to sound, I'm very happy that Samsung didn't ditch the 3.5mm headphone jack, and now Samsung has also added Dolby Atmos support to this, and I have tested this one with a lot of headphones. These are the Audio-Technica M40X, even the M50X, the Grados, and I have to say the sound output on this one is much better compared to other earlier Samsung smartphones. In fact, I got a slightly better sound signature when I was enabling the Dolby Atmos effect, and that works even with the headphones. So in terms of sound output via the headphone jack, I'm happy with the same. But again, it's not at the level of what do you say LG V30 or etc. Because even with this Audio-Technica M40X, I was had to keep the volume levels at about 85%. So with very heavy headphones, yes, it might be a problem. But again, with most of the normal headphones, you shouldn't have a issue, and the sound output is actually good. Now moving to the general performance, this S9 Plus actually has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Do remember guys, the S9 regular has just 4 gigabytes of RAM, and now it's just about 2 weeks since I've been using this device, and in general usage, the phone has been working fine, and as of now I haven't noticed any lag, and most of the time it's very fluid. As you can see, I don't even close the apps that are in the memory and stuff. General performance is good, but in terms of RAM management, I frankly feel Samsung is still a little bit aggressive with this. After sometimes I notice that after about 4th or 5th app, sometimes if I go to another app after let's say 10 minutes, it reloads it. So it is aggressively still killing apps a little bit. I thought they would have improved this considering that it has 6 gigabytes of RAM, but looks like Samsung is still a little bit aggressive if I compare it with smartphones that are having 6 gigabytes of RAM. But in day-to-day usage, most of you won't notice that unless you're a very heavy multitasker. Now moving to cellular call quality, I tested this device with Airtel 4G and even Jio, and in terms of cellular call quality, I did not have any issues, and even as I mentioned, the speaker output is good, so taking calls over the speakerphone also was a nice experience, and the other party did not complain. Now moving to the biggest upgrade, I would say that this S9 Plus has compared to the S8 is we have the dual camera setup now, and one is a regular camera, another is a telephoto lens. But apart from that, this one has variable aperture. That means it can move the aperture between 2.4 to 1.5. Obviously, when it moves to 1.5, it gathers in a lot more light, and that is actually beneficial in artificial lighting conditions. Here are some of the camera sample shots that I have taken with the S9 Plus, and as you can see, the camera performance is actually pretty good on this one, and certainly in low lighting conditions, I would say as of now, this one has the best camera performance in artificial lighting and very low lighting condition. In fact, I have compared it even with the Pixel 2 XL, and in very low lighting conditions, I would say this one has an edge compared to the Pixel 2 XL. But again, in broad outdoor lighting situation, one thing that I've noticed with this smartphone is that, as you can see with the camera samples, I've compared it with the Pixel 2 XL. This S9 Plus has a tendency to over saturate colors, particularly greens and bolder colors. So they sort of look a little bit unnatural, and I've noticed this a lot. This happens even in the video. So in the auto mode, mostly I would say the pictures are pleasing, but at times the pictures actually look a little bit more oversaturated than they actually are. So you have to be aware of that. Fortunately, it has the manual mode. If you use the manual mode, you can fix those issues. But again, let's be real. Who uses a smartphone in the manual mode? Most of you would use it in the auto mode. And I hope with the software update, Samsung tones down the saturation level on this one. But apart from that oversaturated colors, I would say the camera is actually very good. But again, I would say I've already compared it with the Pixel 2 XL, and I have to say the Pixel 2 XL overall was producing slightly sharper pictures compared to the S9 Plus. Again, I'll leave the comparison video for your reference. So these were the things that and I'm moving to the video. The good thing is that even in the video, even at 4K, when you shoot the video is actually very stable. So that is a good thing. But again, even in video, I noticed that the colors were a little bit oversaturated. So these were the things that I liked with this S9 Plus. Now let's move to the things that I did not like. So these are the cons with the S9 Plus. And the first con is that, and quite a few of you have asked me about this is a flagship Android device from Samsung. It's selling for 65,000 rupees in India. And now VoLTE is very common in India. And you would expect that this phone will support simultaneous dual VoLTE, that is 4G connections on both the SIMs simultaneously. But the sad fact is it simply does not do that. So I was saddened to see that, because lately I actually use Airtel connection, which is my primary SIM, and a secondary SIM, which is my personal SIM, is on Jio. But lately Airtel has not been good here in Hyderabad. So I was planning to migrate even my Airtel SIM to Jio SIM. But as you know, many of the smartphones simply don't work with dual VoLTE. And I was expecting that this would do, as it's a flagship Android smartphone. But sadly, dual VoLTE, simultaneous VoLTE support is simply not there on this device. So I'm sort of disappointed with that, because other vendors are now giving, at least on the flagship phone, some of them have started providing dual 4G VoLTE support. Saddened to see that we don't have that on this smartphone. So just make note of that. Now moving to the battery life also. This has a 3500 milliamp hour battery, and as you can see from the charts, it should last for a typical working day if you are sort of a normal user. As you can see from the charts, in terms of screen on time, I was getting a screen on time of around 4 hours to about 4.5 hours with this device. But if you are sort of a heavy user, I would say you would have to top it up in the evenings. And if I compare the battery life to other flagship Android smartphones like the Pixel 2 XL, or even the OnePlus 5T, or even the Honor View 10, all of them give me slightly better battery life compared to the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. So battery life is actually average, and if you're sort of a heavy user, you would have to top it up in the evening. Also, moving to another thing, as I've mentioned, it's having that glass back, and it's sort of a fingerprint magnet. So again, be careful if you're going to use it without a case, which I do not suggest. Then you will be constantly wiping this phone, because it's a fingerprint magnet. Also, one more thing that I have noticed, and some users have commented about this, as you can see via Twitter. What I've noticed with this device is that I was actually using this device with this case most of the time. This is the supplied case that came in the box itself. And after about 10-15 minutes of normal usage, that is on mobile data, I noticed that the handset tends to get a little bit warm here from the back. And this is actually a tendency of many of the phones that have a glass back. So again, it feels a little bit warm to touch. So that is something that you have to note. And summer has also not set in. It's not getting overheating or something like that. But yeah, it is definitely getting a little bit warm. So that is something you have to note about it. And lastly, here are some of the valid questions that you guys also had about the Samsung smartphones. And regarding the pricing, it is priced in India at rupees 65,000 for this S9 Plus. Before I answer some of your important questions, here is a word from the sponsor of this video, that is Cashify.in. Are you looking to buy this device or any other smartphone? Then sell your old mobile and laptops on Cashify.in to unlock the best market price. Check out Cashify.in to encash your phone in less than 60 seconds. So here are some of the questions that I was getting regarding this S9 Plus, and Mr. Shakti is saying, he said he has sold his Note 8 for terrible battery life, and now I'm using the Honor View 10. Battery and performance is amazing. Even the Note 8 lagged a lot with the EMUI. And many of you keep asking me, how would this S9 Plus age? I can't comment about that. It's been just 2 weeks since I've been using. As of now, it does not lag, but I have personally used S7 and after 6 months it started lagging like crazy. Even Amit Bhavani, who was using the Galaxy S8, after about 3-4 months his phone was also started to lag, and the battery life also dipped like crazy. So the thing with Samsung is that after some time, after 4-5 months, they do not age very well. The battery life tends to drop, and also you notice considerable lag. I can't say if that will happen even to this Galaxy S9 Plus, but I hope Samsung stays on top of it with Android updates. And I can just speculate it does not happen with the S9 Plus, because quite a few, these are some of the comments that I was getting from you guys. As for example, Blaze is asking, Samsung UI could be the major issue. That amazing UI is great at first, then it just lags and annoys the user, and the support by Samsung to the user in the way of software updates sucks. People rather prefer a Pixel rather than Samsung Galaxy S8. So this is the truth. Yeah, I agree with you what you're saying. The problem with the generally Samsung device, this has been the case with the S7, S8. I didn't use the Note 8 that much, so I can't comment. But yeah, all of them started lagging after some time. So I hope it doesn't happen with this one. And this is one more comment from Shreyas. He is asking, I think the Samsung mobile Galaxy S9 Plus is getting average interest because there is not a huge design change of the phone compared to the S8 Plus. And some people may choose the phone just seeing the design. Yes, I agree. In terms of design, if you look from the front, the S9 Plus exactly looks as like the S8 Plus. It's only when you look at the back you see the difference. So yeah, I agree with that. And here is one more comment that I got from Puneet. Even I believe that consumer is getting smarter, and OnePlus 5T gives you everything. Oxygen is far more smoother and better and up to date than the Samsung Experience UI, and it's better to spend rupees 33,000 or rather than the 57,900. So yeah, that is something that Samsung really needs to do. Provide updates consistently and make sure that the device does not lag. That's the biggest problem I would say that we have been having with Samsung devices. So as of now, in 2 weeks of usage, I haven't noticed any noticeable lag, but I simply can't say after 2 months or 3 months how will it age. So guys, this was the in-depth review of the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. Definitely in terms of camera, I would say, especially in artificial lighting and low lighting conditions, I would say the camera performance that I was getting on this one is next to none, even better than the Pixel 2 XL. But yeah, in outdoor conditions, many times, as I have mentioned, in the auto mode, it tends to oversaturate the pictures with punchier colors. I hope Samsung can fix that with the software update. So certainly a very good handset, but not without its flaws. So what do you guys think about the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus? Do share your opinion in the YouTube comment section below. And if you're still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care.